Netflix is incredibly well known for its true crime documentaries and series. Real-world details about the actions of people who committed, were associated with, and were affected by criminal events. I'm Adam Andrews, and this is the top 10 real evil people who are terrifying Netflix viewers. Let us know if you guys have any favorite true crime stories that you think people could actually learn a valuable lesson from. That being said, number 10 is Jeffrey Dahmer. Now you knew that we would be talking about this when you clicked on this video. Dahmer, Monster the Jeffrey Dahmer story is blowing up right now. Its first episode has some people so tense and terrified they could not even continue watching. Unlike a lot of cinematic tellings of serial killer stories, Dahmer puts you on the outside and in the point of view of the victims of this incredibly ruthless killer. It really makes you feel for just how tragic the whole thing really was, connecting you to the victims before they are snatched away, essentially making you hate this incredibly deranged man, not to mention making you feel the sense of dread and the horror that being around this monster instilled in those involved. Number 9. The Public. This one is more interesting because while the story does follow a real homicide case, the falsely accused Amanda Knox is where it is focused. While on a foreign exchange trip from the United States to Perugia, Italy, Amanda Knox, a college student, was accused of brutally taking the life of her roommate Meredith Kircher. Knox became a media sensation in all the worst ways, with tabloids painting her as evil and twisted, while she served almost 4 years in an Italian prison before Italy's highest court exonerated her in 2015. The Netflix documentary surrounding her shows the truth of Meredith's passing while also exposing just how the public's reaction to what the media fed them caused Amanda to be treated like a monster. If you guys are finding any of this interesting so far, even in the slightest, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us gauge exactly what kind of content you guys want to see. And in at number 8 is Larry Nassar. Not all monsters end people's lives. The Netflix documentary Athlete A follows a team of investigative journalists from the Indianapolis Star who broke the story of USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar, who used his employment as the team's doctor to exploit, deceive, and violate hundreds of young women. The documentary also follows the survivors of the doctor's horrible ways. The interviews with the athletes as well as the journalists who exposed it all also shines a light on just how the USAG covered up Larry Nassar's actions for years. Number 7. Luke Magnotta. If you guys are a fan of true crime documentaries, then I would be surprised if you had never heard of Don't F with Cats. Basically, back in 2010, an incredibly disturbing video of a man taking the life of 2 kittens emerged online, causing quite a bit of grief for the people who saw it. But it was not the last video to emerge. As the crimes committed in the videos escalated, beginning to include actual people, a group of individuals online formed together to track down just who exactly the man in the video was. After a ton of very intuitive internet sleuthing, their manhunt led them and the police to Luke Magnotta, who was later convicted for taking the life of Chinese international student Zhen Lin in disturbing circumstances in 2012. But just be warned, I'm serious when I say the documentary is disturbing. Number 6. Warren Jeffs. The docu-series Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey dives into the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or the FLDS. The FLDS is an extremist offshoot of mainstream Mormonism led by Warren Jeffs. It's revealed that using the ideals of his church, Warren would coerce and force female members of the congregation, most of which were underage, into polyamorous marriage, blind obedience, and extreme isolation from the outside world. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 20 years for violating many of his 482 victims, including his 78 wives. If cults are your true crime thing, this is certainly an interesting watch. It does leave you feeling worried about how something like this could ever actually happen. Number 5. Richard Ramirez. Richard Ramirez was a serial killer in San Francisco and the area surrounding it between June 1984 and August 1985. He had a particularly brutal and very chilling MO, which included breaking and entering, which gave him the nicknames of the Walk-In Killer and the Valley Intruder. The Netflix documentary Night Stalker, named after his most famous nickname, follows the manhunt and investigation that led to the arrest of this brutal killer and his tragic victims. It's a bone-chilling story that will leave you feeling unsafe even while you're sitting in the comfort of your own home. Number 4. roommates. This one is going to be on a very slightly lighter note than most of these other ones, but only slightly, as the stories told in the 5-part aptly named Worst Roommate Ever series vary from story to story, mostly all told with the help of animation. One story could cover a violent con artist or relentless squatter, while others do indeed include killers and their crimes, and they are all told with a focus on the victims or witnesses who dealt with these truly terrifying roommates. It's all interesting and all injects a jolt of fear that makes you second guess whoever you decide to share your living space with, if you even have the privilege to choose that in the first place. Number 3. Hunter Moore. This is a different kind of terrifying. The social kind. The most hated man on the internet takes a victim-centric look at Hunter Moore, who founded a revenge website called Is Anyone Up?, which stayed active for about 16 months starting in 2010. On the website, people could post exposing and inappropriate pictures of their exes and others without those people's consent, for everyone to see, including information like their names, where they lived, and where they worked, practically inviting harassment. But Moore, in addition to that, also hired a hacker to break into other people's phones and computers to get more and more of their private photos and videos to share on his website. The documentary makes you feel hate more than it makes you feel terrified, but the unsettling thought of having your private life on display like that does make some feel very, very uneasy. Number 2. Yoo Young-Chul. Let's move out of North America and Europe for this one. Yoo Young-Chul was a serial killer from Seoul, South Korea from 2003 to 2004. His crimes were mostly performed against women and the wealthy, with his first life-ending crimes in 2003 being against wealthy senior citizens, staging his crimes as robbery homicides. He would then move on to target masseuses and then ladies of the night. His crimes caused fear to spread throughout the city, and the documentary The Raincoat Killer: Chasing a Predator in Korea really gives you the feeling of fear and uncertainty that made this killer such a terrifying figure in South Korea. Number 1. Various real killers. The last point on this list I want to give to one of my favorite true crime shows on Netflix. It's called Mindhunter. Now, while the show follows a fictional character named Holden Ford, he is based on John E. Douglas, who redefined homicide investigations thanks to information that he learned from interviews with famous serial killers like David Berkowitz, John Wayne Gacy, Charles Manson, Richard Speck, and Edmund Kemper, all of whom are featured in the show, played incredibly well by various really well-cast actors. Watching Holden do the same work as an agent in the FBI's Behavioral Sciences Unit is a really interesting and sometimes terrifying dive into a world a lot of us just never see. I've been Adam Andrews, this has been most amazing, and until next time, stay safe and well informed out there.